and advising startups and corporates. And today's talk has two key parts. One part is it's inside look at our flagship program, EPFL AI Product Management Sprint. And the second part, we're sharing a journey, case study, and strategies to scale AI solution successfully. And what Gera and I would call it, breaking the AI pilot trap. So, Mark, let's dive in. Um, this is an executive sprint program that is designed for engineers, product managers, tech leaders, and people who are um, their job and their tasks and their activities are related to products, and they're interested to bring AI in or use the recent tools to embed in their products or come up with a new product within their organization or within their team. So this is hands-on program and combines technical depth with the business strategy to scale AI innovations effectively. We run the program in the spring and summer, and anyway, upon our availability, probably in fall too. But the very immediate program going to be in spring, March 31st and April 1st, and then April 11th for the demo day. You may ask, what is the demo day? What's going to happen day one, day two, and so on? In a couple of minutes, I'm going to explain more about that. But the next cohort of this program going to happen in summer 2025, first week, 4th and 5th, and September 12th, it's going to be the demo day. So these sprints are, as I said, designed for leaders, product managers, engineers, or product lovers to develop and scale AI solution effectively. So mark your calendar. We got some limited spots left for the next cohort. So as I said, there are different, we can list different jobs or different, let's say, audience that are related to this program. But then what I would say, what I see it more relevant is that seeing your job activities, seeing your the tasks that you have, and if it's anything is related to product, it definitely going to be impacted within 2 or 3 or 5, if not within 9 months. So 2 or 3 or 4, 5 years. So that's an important skill to add, and the future of PM going to be towards more engineers, the more hands-on people who know about the technology, who know more about the customer needs, and they're hands-on. They can design quick prototypes, test that, and being able, and they are able enabled to scale it. All right. You may ask, why should I register? What is the benefit for me? Well, first and foremost, you develop leadership and cross-functional skills. Of course, we are not IMD, but the main thing here is, again, it's a hands-on program. You're going to be assigned to a couple of other people within your group or team. You're working together to master AI product strategy, and then you come up with a minimum viable product. You present it in the demo day, you gain expert feedback on MVPs, and you earn EPFL certificate on this topic. And this is, as I said, hands-on program that helps translate AI into the real world business value. And during these 3 days, we identify AI opportunities, product discovery. We're going to go through that one, and then to build an AI roadmap for the product and minimal viable product development, iteration, and so on. So you may ask, okay, imagine I'm in the program. What's going to happen in day one, day two, or during the project week and day and demo day? The essence is a sprint. So we're going to be there the first day, laying the foundation. We put technical session for ML AI for those that they are a bit off topic. They don't know much about they don't have this technical expertise to get them on board. Then we move on, setting the stage for AI-driven product strategy and understanding how to discover a product, AI product, and what could go wrong. What are the common mistakes that happen in the process? And then for the day two, we go for building and delivering AI solution, designing a prototype AI driven solutions, ensuring feasibility, scalability, and integration. And then After day 1 and 2, you have 10 days within your group. You're working in an idea. Anyway, during day 1 and day 2, you have around 1 or 2 hours, I would say, sessions in the afternoons. You have time to work within your group, to bond with them, to exchange an idea, to check, to soundboard, and see like what works, what not. And then during this project week, after day 2, you'll have time to develop and refine your product and applying insights and gain insights that you gain from the sprint. So that's going to be the project weekend, which we put a couple of sessions online for you. There's no lecture, there's nothing. Basically, it's just a coaching session similar to this webinar. It is more the time that you come in, you join in, you tune in, you ask your question, you ask for any guidance or help, and we provide support as much as we can provide that. And then the demo day going to be, you will present your AI prototype within the group to experts. You receive valuable feedback and gain insights on how to scale, launch your AI solutions successfully. And that's it. You may ask, who is the team? Our AI Sprint team brings together top academics, AI experts, and industry leaders. And then we have from a government head of AI and research from EU Commission, for example. We have from startups, the startup co-founders, actually including alumni of this program who made it to Y Combinator 2024. And we believe that great AI products emerge from strong collaboration between research, industry, and entrepreneurship. So this team is here to support you in navigating AI product from ideation to launch or adoption of AI within your company successfully. So that was the first part of the talk. I know that you may have some questions. I appreciate if you give it in the chat, and then at the end of the talk, at the end of the second part, Lisa and Kate, they will help us to take them, and then we go through them and ensure you receive your answer. All right. So for the second part, I will be joined by Gero. And let me quickly dive in that. And many companies get stuck in AI pilots. And probably this is one of the reasons that you're joining to this talk. And they are successful in trials, but they fail to scale and leading to wasted investment, untapped potential. So the real challenge isn't just about the tech, right? It's knowing how to move from pilot to impact, from pilot to scale. So today we're diving deep, and within the next 15 or 20 minutes, we're diving deep in this part, like breaking the AI pilot trap and how we can successfully scale AI solution. And let me ask Gero to join me and introduce himself. Gero, welcome. And would you like to have a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, yeah, hi everyone. So I got this very long title, and I think it's very often quite difficult to understand what I actually do day in, day out. But maybe just to briefly explain this, my job is fundamentally to work with AI engineers, software developers, designers, and business people to identify the right AI products to build and to scale. And essentially, I would really like to put the emphasis on the second word, the scale, because as I just said, creating something with AI is these days almost a commodity, but it's also a question, when do you get it to a global scale, and when do you get to an impact that it really also becomes interesting to your CFO? When does it really start to move the needle? And that's basically what my role is about. And we've spent the last years to build multiple AI products in multiple domains and scale them up across different markets, different use cases. So yeah, great to be here.
I appreciate that, Gero. Thank you. If you want to know more about this role as AI product manager or AI product leader and so on, we had a webinar a month ago, and our colleagues did favor, put it on Extension School. There's a link, Demystifying AI Product Management, which we had it with another AI expert from Google. So feel free to search that, or Lisa, if you can put it in the chat, we appreciate that. Demystifying AI Product Management, EPFL. If you put this, you can find it on YouTube, or Lisa will leave the link for you. All right, so this is, I came out last week as well. So this is the number, investment going on a lot. And everybody talks about investment from the other side. We see DeepSeek comes with probably 1/10 or 1/15 of what Meta did. Sure, they use the open source model, but executives take vastly different approaches to AI investment, as charts can be interpreted in multiple ways depending on your perspective. Some consider it like waste of investment, some consider it like underinvestment. So tech giants highlighted in red, such as Google, Amazon, and all Magnificent Seven, see underinvestment as a greater risk than our investment. So now mirrored by the US government. And meanwhile, other organizations remain cautious, careful. They say like, well, this level of investment is a big risk, and things are changing fastly, growing huge, and we have lack of AI experts around us and so on. So this hesitation is further amplified by the unprecedented pace of AI advancement, as I said, which are evolving faster than the business can adapt, outpacing even transformative shifts like internet, cloud computing. And for some of us, it's just like what happened for metaverse at Meta, like or Facebook, 2 billion investment and so on, no return of investment concretely so far. So the recent release of seemingly efficient AI model by Chinese startup DeepSeek, I call it seemingly efficient because there are some parts that on the performance they are good, but not on the privacy, not on censorship and so on. I call it seemingly, has reignited discussions around AI capital expenditure. However, some argue we are in a build-out phase, and some they say, like, well, it's a waste of money. So it depends how you want to see it. But despite this massive spending, many companies fail to translate AI investment into real business impact. And that's exactly the topic that we have. And another shocking number is here. Our research, teaching, industry experience reveal troubling pattern. Most organizations remain stuck in a perpetual pilot mode, with 80% of AI projects failing to scale, which is almost double than the rate of corporate IT project failures a decade ago, you may remember. This is the AI pilot trap. This is what Gero and I would call AI pilot trap, where AI solutions show promise in isolated trials, but they struggle to deliver at a scale, leading a wasted investment, untapped potential. And there are ways, however, to increase the odds of success here. Again, I appreciate if you guys keep it on mute. We have time to take your questions. So successful AI investment and a successful AI implementation is just about cutting edge technology. I know it sounds controversial. The real challenge lies in breaking the obsession with pilots, which often leads to stagnation rather than scale. AI success is mainly striking the right balance between investment in people, process, technology, a triad that transforms prototypes to impact. We will see later how Gero and his team and colleagues, they've done it in Zurich Insurance as a case study. So without skilled talent, human-centered workflows, robust data infrastructure, even the most AI models risk poor adoption and limited impact. So let me share very quick the journey that we see. Anyway, this is not the journey, let me correct myself, it's a journey. And similar to design thinking, it could come and go and it have many loops here. But what we see quite often is from 1 to 4 people that go there, or many companies that go there, and they have a very cool proof of concept or pilot, but they stop there. So that was the 70 to 80% failure. And in isolation, things work, but then they cannot scale. So AI product manager need to know this scaling requires balanced investment in people, process, and technology, as I said. Many AI projects fail due to inadequate one. You understand this. And drawing one of the best case examples that we said by Zurich Insurance, the practical steps are first is the readiness. If your company is ready, the team is ready, the data is available. So we suggest you start by building an AI delivery unit with cross-functional expertise, not just all AI experts, cross-functional expertise, including AI experts, developers, change managers. This is very important. You can that's one other other let's say key people that are missing in the equation of many of failed projects. That these change managers, those that they know the organizational culture, or those that they know how the product they can bring it a step up and they bring it to the scale. And ensure the talent acquisition is in place, robust data infrastructure, and so on. Then we go for the discovery. I don't want to have it like a shopping list, but quickly want to review this one for you. They're identifying and prioritizing high impact use cases, what makes sense, what's not. Number three is validation. You need the blessing of senior management and involvement of your senior management. It should be aligned with the strategic goal of the company. Otherwise, that's a cool project, but not going to go further. The other one, I know I'm stating at the risk of stating the obvious, but these are the cases that we see while we have our emotion for a project. We see when we have too much passion for a project to move on and pilot and some cool, let's say, prototype. We see like even very high level senior execs, they miss considering the impact of the project at the very earliest stages. And then after, let's say on the pilot step or proof of concept step, you need to establish a clear value focused agreement. Use the projects to refine your solution, validate their fit with the long-term goal, and only that it's going to go for adoption. So consider a funnel, I would say. And Garo, feel free to chime in and share your insights too.
I guess what's probably worth highlighting is when you look at this, you might think, okay, that looks almost plain obvious, right? Of course, you should be ready. Of course, you should first discover something, you should trial it, and then you should scale it. So I think a lot of it is not so much about the what. The what is obviously also important, but it's also about the how. Because just the way, for instance, if we go to step 4, how you scope a proof of concept to make sure that it's really representative of all the data that you have in the process, to make sure that's difficult enough that actually if this one works, you can be sure that it will work across multiple business and process domains. That you make sure there's also the right size so business users actually endorse it, so that you kind of make sure that you have all of these dimensions covered before you go to the scale mode. That's, I think, very often where problems can occur. So again, this framework is good. The headlines are all completely correct, but very often it's around the nuances around each of these steps to get this right. And unfortunately, I must say, very often it's a bit like a car with 4 wheels. Is one of these elements, be it the data availability, be it the process
infrastructure,
exactly the robustness. The moment one of these building blocks isn't there, it can crumble. And to make it extra difficult, sometimes it doesn't crumble after the first iteration or the second iteration. It takes a while until you realize, wait, what we've built looks cool, but it's actually not maintainable over time. That's why essentially along all of these high level 5 steps that we see here, there's many things you need to take into consideration to make sure that you're not hitting one of those roadblocks.
Indeed. And then going from 4 to 5 is another altitude, the same as like mountain from 2,500 to going to 3,000. This is another altitude. This is like you need alignment on incentives, you need optimizing the process, sustaining the value generation. It needs to consider the user in a broader sense, not just sampled user that you tested just for the pilot. Probably they're not representative and so on. So that with that saying, like it needs to pilot needs to be designed in a way that you consider the scale. You saw the seed of a scale already there. So thanks, Garo. Now let's see how Garo and his team at Zurich Insurance broke the AI pilot trap, scaled AI solution. If I'm not wrong, 2,000 users across 20 plus markets, and drove multi-million-dollar impact and transforming customer experiences. Is that correct, Karen?
That is, I think it's worth noting. It's not just my team at Zurich. There are many teams at Zurich working on this, and I think overall we have, I don't know, probably north of 100 use cases live across multiple countries. So we're luckily today in a position that we can almost pick and choose which one we kind of showcase in which kind of area, because by now we have reached again not just my team but also our other teams working at Zurich on this. We have reached quite a maturity around these use cases. So what I brought today is a use case that we have actually already started developing around 2019. So that was kind of before large language models were like cool, but essentially had already the technology to do it. And I chose this one for twofold reasons. Actually, even more reasons. One is I think it's a very common problem that we solved here. So even if you're not insurance, I hope that the underlying issues will resonate with you. The second one is that we have indeed scaled this globally over many, many markets to a very big user base. So I think it's definitely one where we can say we have overcome the pilot trap. And then finally, I think it's also a use case where kind of, and again, you will always find situations where this is not true, but on balance, I think this is a use case where in terms of reward versus difficulty, it's a rather good one to start, because I know some people straight either want to go for like a very complicated agentic use case, which is now all the rage, but they may be a bit difficult to start with. So I thought I take this one because that was not the first one we started with, but one of the first ones and one of the ones that we scaled the best. And what I would suggest is let me just spend 2 minutes to explain what you're looking at.
Absolutely.
and then let me spend also a few minutes on why we chose this process and what kind of other benefits that we saw from it. Fundamentally, and again, I believe this will be similar to other companies as well. No matter if you're in B2C or B2B, you will probably have quite a bit of inbound email and document traffic. This could be from your partners, from your customers, but partially it's even from your own employees, right? So Department A communicates with Department B. And then essentially what you have or what you used to have is a lot of humans on the other side that need to read all of these emails, go through the attachments, see what they need to do with it, and then work through this. So a typical thing that we, for instance, had at Zurich was that we get customer requests, hundreds of thousands for millions of emails, and then a human needs to read this email. We have to take the attachment if there's some information, and then we need to rekey this information into a CRM, into a policy administration system, and so on and so on. So again, there were millions of emails and documents to go through, millions of inbound requests from partners, from brokers, from customers. It took a lot of time. And then we were in the special situation that a lot of contracts renew around the Christmas time or New Year. So we always had this peak load as well, where the team had to work over hours, and obviously that was quite a strain on the operations. So, and if there's anyone having more technical questions, we can really go really deeply technical, but just really high level. How we did this first, or one of the first scalable cases we did was as follows. We connected our solution. So we built an AI solution based on transformer models, so large language models, and we connected this to all key inboxes where we get these hundreds of thousand emails in, and we will then periodically, so every few minutes, read all the inbound emails, take it out. The AI solution would parse the content, would try to understand it, would try to derive tasks from it, would extract information like customer name, a VAT number, an email, whichever parameter you need. And then, because you can't go from no AI to full autonomous within the day, or you can try it, but that will be an absolute disaster most likely. So then we were developing also a way how we can embed this into an existing process and workflow. Because AI is cool, but ultimately you also need to work around I wouldn't say constraints, but just around the puzzle pieces that you have in your organization to fit into an existing process. So the overall process was people read the email, read the attachment, and then go to a core application on the right side to, again, manually retype, let's say, an address change, some invoice information, whatever. What we then did is, so the AI was extracting again the information, and then we were sending it to this core application, so a human doesn't need to do this anymore. But again, we couldn't fully automate straight. So what we had there is what we called these confidence thresholds, which I'm sorry, the font size, I should have chosen a better one. But essentially, you see these three boxes with the arrows, and you see the traffic lights. And what we then essentially did is we set cases where we found all parameters we need, like the customer name and all the tasks and all the information, and where our AI is very certain that it know what it needs to do. There we go for full automation, and the AI can just complete the process fully autonomously, and we have like a part of our process fully automated. Fantastic. But then we have cases where the AI has maybe found some parameters, but it needs help because it has found not one name, but it has found two names or two contract numbers or whatever. So it needs a human who gives feedback. And that's what you see there as a yellow, as the amber in the middle. So what we then develop is like a human in the loop, where essentially the AI would represent or show potential options to the human user. The human user would say it's either A or B, to then also complete the process. And from this feedback, we automatically generated also a full feedback cycle for the model. So either the model could do it straight, and if the model couldn't do it straight, we immediately had a way to capture human feedback to retrain the model very, very quick. And that's one way where you can even go from, again, there will be always differences, but on balance, what we've seen is where you can go from low levels of automation and low levels of information extraction to very, very good numbers very quickly by making sure that you have a way to capture human feedback quickly and bring it straight back to the model through like a training feedback. And then what you will see with every process, even with the best AI model, you will always have some random information just doesn't fit there. So you get a document that's password protected, so you can't process it, and all of these kind of cases. So then we still had a queue for full menu processing with this, like the red traffic light, what you see there. So what I would like you to take from this is, again, it's not so much about this one use case, but it's like what we have basically done is we have taken an existing process from reading emails to rekeying the information into a CRM and other apps. We have not fully replaced it, but we've put AI in the middle. And then we have iteratively worked on how we can increase the AI share of the automation via this traffic light systems and how we embed the human into it. And then if you reflect on it, that shows you as well, you don't just need AI, you need software designers to develop new user interfaces where how the users can give feedback. You need to have a very clever architecture so the whole process runs very quickly. So, it doesn't get stuck when you have high volumes. And I think that's already a key thing to take away here. Data alone or data science AI alone won't get you very far if you want to have a big impact. You have to really think of this embedded end-to-end process. Let me spend just 1 minute on why we chose this process. One is what we've seen from our early transformer results or like the large language models is we were pretty confident that AI could do it, at least partially. Secondly, we saw that the volume was sizable. So it was also a reward where it was worth going for. Thirdly, we saw that with similar processes in multiple countries. So it showed us if we get one of them working, yes, there might be more work to get the next one on board, but we're looking for a scalable problem. We also realized that the data of like the type of requests we're getting over time, they're similar. So it's also something where if you train today on the data you get today, tomorrow it will still be viable, which isn't true for some other processes. The environment changes, you get different inputs, and suddenly the whole thing you build doesn't work. And then also more like the human element. I think we're going for something that the humans didn't enjoy. So the teams, the end users were actually endorsing the solution a lot and were helping us really to automate this. So we were not just looking at all the technical elements, but we also think, okay, is this something that our employees are very happy if we give it to the AI? And I think by ticking these boxes and by ticking many more boxes, I kind of want to stay here in the time I have for my slot today. But looking at this human element, but also these technology components, that was for us our way. If you think back to the previous slide, how we essentially narrowed it down to this use case, and we scaled it in one market, and once we saw the success there, we scaled it to we scaled it to many markets within Zurich. And while I can't give you now specific numbers on the things below, I can say that the benefits that we got from it were really astonishing. I mean, there's on the one side, obviously, the higher satisfaction from customers, from partners, because the end-to-end cycle time got much faster. So we got a request, we would quickly process it, send the feedback back. Then there was obviously also the lower handling time. So just the total volume we could, like in terms of process efficiency, productivity, this benefit we had. And then I think what we also realized that there were many adjacent benefits we didn't even think about. So essentially, employee happiness went up, employee churn went down in certain roles because with the tool, the overall job became much more enjoyable. And yeah, and that's I think also probably worth noting. Not every benefit you get from it you can maybe put into one very hard business case, but very often when you find the right process to automate, you will suddenly see that there are suddenly adjacent benefits, also operation stability and then other things that you haven't even anticipated before. Right. And I think if we then jump to the next slide. Yeah, I think one thing we said is, look, we have global adoption with our AI tools. And I don't say this to say, hey, look how cool we are, we have global adoption. I think it's more to say, we spoke about the 70 to 80% of projects that failed. Or that, that's kind of what the industry benchmarks that we hear. But I think it's more science than art to get this right. So actually making AI projects work is a teachable skill. It can be learned, and you can ultimately get to a factory approach. How do you approach the problem and how you scale AI? It doesn't mean that then everything will be fine. You will face other issues, but at the same time, it's not just, how shall I say, sheer luck that some use cases work and that others don't work. It worked for us. I know from other people in our industry, but also other industries, that they also managed to scale it. So I almost want to put this out here as a word of optimism that with the right tooling, the right mindset, the right training, this is absolutely doable. Now, in terms of lessons learned, I could, again, ramble for hours because there's so many dimensions. I just want to pick out two that work quite well for us. One is to really make sure that when you roll out these projects, that you have the end-to-end capabilities available. They can be within one unit. They can be multiple teams that collaborate. I don't think there's one organizational way of doing it, but I think what's very important is not just having technology and IT on the table, but to make also sure that you consider, for instance, things like front-end and UI design. That's usually, how shall I say, especially with like hardcore tech people, not very well treasured, but ultimately a very slick, nice UI wins you people over. Another important element that we have seen is also the change management aspect. Don't just throw technology at end users, but find a way to work with them to get their feedback early of how the solution should work, how certain components should be named. They know their process best. And then once you roll it out, make sure that you, again, keep in mind there's the human side to it. So you have to be very deliberate and very careful that you're basically changing a work routine. And changing routines isn't easy. It's also not easy for me. So you need to think, how do you make sure that this is not just a technology project, but you have end users on board, they understand it, they get the training support, and you essentially have a very good way to bring them from the old world to the new world that also supports them. And I think this soft element is very often overlooked, and then you can run into issues. And then the below one, I think what I also see very often is, again, like you see these innovation teams and people say, oh, let's do a hackathon here and some innovation here and some AI here. And you can very quickly overwhelm yourselves by spreading yourselves too thin. So I think it's also about being really strict to yourself to say, kind of, our role model is Henry Ford. We rather have one Model T and produce it a few thousand times, even if for parts of your team that might even get repetitive, they say, oh, one more time this case, but really to be very clear there that this just with labs and innovation and brainstorming and thinking of 100 use cases and trying everything a bit, it will be very difficult to scale. So you really have to be focusing everyone's attention, metrics, everything on very few cases that are very promising, and then really double down on those one to get them going. I think that's also something that is probably, again, intuitive, but the magnitude of importance, I think, can't be overstated. Again, I could go on all of these points, but these were just few things that I wanted to share today, and I hope you feel helpful, you found helpful. And if you have any other questions, also after the webinar, feel free just to reach out to me. Thanks.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, we can take some questions that are in the chat.